Check one, two.
Critical EDH. Have it your way. I'm Eric, and I'm here with
Logan.
Hi. Higher.
Higher. Why are you here today?
So this is the Fishbowl. Fishbowl San Diego. Holy smokes. Jeez. This is like officially like the largest cEDH event on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Top 5 in the world ever.
Whoa.
Yeah, for cEDH. And today we're in usually sunny San Diego, cloudy San Diego, and we're playing cEDH, man. We also are running our Legacy event today, which is
Sold
the
out?
first. Sold out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so super big. Really excited to see kind of some of the different variations that tournament can look. And for us, this is, we're trying to expand, trying to see what's really out there. And the fact that so many people came out today was just like incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, this was, I think, our first tournament of this size, and it's just been a blast. Obviously, in a tournament...
We're going to shift you this way a little bit. There we go.
Shifting Woodlands over here. Honestly, in tournaments, there's going to be highs and lows, but I think overall, it's been just so fun to just be around by so many cEDH players. And even, if you I went, 0-4-1 yesterday, so I was feeling pretty low. But just to have so many of your friends or even strangers who, there's just a sense of camaraderie. This is a ton of fun to be a part of.
Yeah. That was hope. That was the hope, right? This event started as a community event. There was a call to ask for more cEDH events in California specifically. It's an expensive area historically.
Yeah.
It's been really hard to run events out here.
Right.
So we were like, okay, let's start something. We started it at TC's Rockets.
Whoa.
First event, I think, had 67 people.
Holy
Was that
cow.
Fishbowl 1?
That was Fishbowl 1.
Fishbowl 1 had
Okay, cool.
67 people. And then we've grown it slowly. This
Holy cow.
is the 5th iteration of this event. And now this event had 280 players on day 1. And it's super massive for us. We're like, holy smokes! I can't believe it. We have these players.
Nice.
How big do you think it can go? How
That's a good
are you
question.
going to push the envelope more?
Probably.
Okay.
I know that we have dreams and aspirations, right?
Sure.
So
We all do.
I think the biggest goal for us is to really pump it and get 500 players.
Wow.
And
Oh,
have
that'd be
a
so
20K. Something huge.
Yeah.
We were theorizing with some of the event runners in our area, and we're talking about maybe it's possible to run 2 simultaneous events and then kind of have a merged top 16.
Okay, so the challenges with running 2 events, it's actually really similar to having one event on 2 floors. So let's say we had 1,000 players, but but only had space for 500 in one area and 500 in another area.
Yeah.
You need at that point 2 head judges to run each floor,
Exactly.
right? And then you need a command center where everything is brought together. It just really creates a lot of room for error. So if you run one big event, it's a little less opportunities for things to get messed up, and your head judges can really swap in for each other instead of running from one floor to another floor. It's just one big
that's a
floor.
good
And then,
So I know we're working on kind of growing the tournament scene in Denver, and we were talking to some people who are trying to grow it in Arizona as well. As someone who sounds like you really have your thumb on the pulse of the community, kind of really rallying a lot of players together. What are ways you would hope to kind of influence or affect other tournament organizers to help keep the culture and the community of cEDH headed onward and upward?
Yeah, listen to the community, right? Listen to the needs. For a long time, there was a sense of, hey, this is what we want, this is what we want. And the people who had the ability to make changes weren't necessarily willing to make those changes, right? Yeah. And so, but as tournament organizers, we have that ability, right? Oh, you want cEDH events with no proxies.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. We want cEDH events that have maybe high pay end on the top end scale, right? So big prizes at the end, or we want it more equitable so that the prize payout is a little bit more evenly dispersed. So if I top 16, I'm at least doubling or tripling my money, right? So I think listening to your communities is really important. That's something that I feel we've done pretty well here. I know that I reach out to, we have a California Discord, and I'm super tapped into them. They're the reason why this event exists.
Heck yeah! Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, shout out to California. Yeah.
Nice.
So I take credit for having to spearhead right, alongside TC's Rockets and playing with Power, obviously. But like the community, like really drove. They helped us. Like two of the artists that came here because one of our community members were like, "Hey, I know these people."
Whoa!
Yeah, and
that's
I was like,
so cool.
Yeah, right. And
Awesome.
like it's just I don't know, like Tim, like Golden Sabretooth.
Yeah.
I've used him for 4 out of the 5 Fishbowl playmats, right? Propaganda games, like I've known him because I've done events with them. Like it just
We got to make those connections between all of the people that can contribute and
also like supporting California natives. Like for me, that's like a big thing. Like right. So it's just like find your community, and they'll lead you right for sure.
So Denver is kind of like I would say like an up and coming cEDH scene, but if you hear people talk about other scenes, you're talking about like NorCal, SoCal, or Boston, or you know,
East Coast for sure.
These places, and we're sitting there thinking to ourselves like, what, 6 months ago, we're like, man, like we have some killer players here, but like there's no fabric tying them together. So what we're kind of focusing on is building our community, and there's like these pockets of Denver players. Like we got the group from up north. Some of these guys, and we're down in the south, so we're like trying to meet in the middle, trying to make these events where we can all attend and have a good time. As these events grow, I think at some point it was a TO, you have to stop playing in the events. I don't TO the events, I kind of advertise and just like, okay, the store's TOing, take care of it. But like, how do you find that transition from playing in the events to just TOing, and like, are you missing out on the competition? Are you feeling?
I definitely miss it, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But like the balance, right? So I don't play in the events,
right?
But all my friends come to play, and then we LobbyCon, or like I'll catch times where it's a little bit slower, and I can really join in the fun. Also, if you can create the community that wants to make the events, and you're able to guide them so that they can run their own events, you have the opportunity to play at their events.
Right.
Right. So it's really like building those seeds and hopefully growing into trees. Right. So I think that you're going to miss out because maybe you are the person running the killer event. Right. You're like, oh man, we're crushing.
Yeah.
I can't even play in my own event. I really want to. I know. By the way, I don't encourage people doing that.
Okay.
TO should never play in their own events.
I would very much agree.
Yeah. I very much am against that.
It's not a good look.
Not a good look. Not a good look. Maybe you're like small side events, but that's about it.
So like the events we run, like the last one was 42 players.
Yeah.
But all I did was like, I was like, hey, our local store's providing all the prizing, they're doing everything. I said, but I have all the connections to the community, so like I'm going to advertise for them. And then I show up and I go, kind of like what you do some announcements. I'm like, hey, you can follow us on YouTube, you can come do an interview if you want, but like I'm going to be playing in the event. If you have questions about the event, go ask them. Handle them. Like, talk to the judges, talk to them. But like, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But as we grow, like, I feel like I'm gonna have to step off and go.
You have to TO. You have to be the actual TO.
And I don't mind, but like, it's a little scary. It's a little daunting.
It is.
I can definitely see how, based off what you guys have described, that's a way in which kind of like boundaries can really help you thrive in the role that you're trying to fill into.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're also in a community that's always growing and expanding. And I know a lot of people feel like there's a barrier between them and cEDH, or feel like there's a barrier between them and attending like a big tournament like Fishbowl. When I think, there's tons of people who, whether it's their first tournament, or even some people who it's their first time playing cEDH. What are ways that either you as a tournament organizer, or just as a person who plays Magic, would want to maybe tear down some of those walls that people have between them and playing in a competitive format like cEDH?
We ask the hard questions.
The hard questions.
And even hotter wings.
So like when I think about the barriers players might have in converting their homebrew experience into I want to play competitively, in my mind it's practice, right? So I'm a practice makes perfect person.
Okay.
So when I play a new deck, I need to rep it. Like I need 100 games on it before I feel like, okay, I think I got it. And I think some people jump into cEDH. And I saw this a lot this weekend. People who are here for the first time cEDH tournament, this is a big tournament, right? And they 05 drop or 06 drop. I had one friend who's like 061 drop. And like, he's like, bro, like what happened? My deck usually performs so well. I don't know what's going on. It's like, well, you probably aren't ready for this level only because you don't play at this level anywhere else, right? When you play with your friends, right? When you play with your friends, you all understand each other's decks. Everyone, oh, that's Tim. He plays land destruction, right? Like, right? But in here, it's I'm gonna win, right? And what a card that might seem innocuous at first, like, oh, I can deal with that. That's okay. Like a good example is like, oh, you played a Mystic Remora. It's like, oh, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
You may not be able to deal with that. Like, because in this format, people.
Are you ready for the implications of it? Even just like how the turns come around, like like it resolves, right? Like now, are you gonna just jam into it, or are you know? How does it affect the table?
We had
there's so many different aspects.
Exactly. We had many games go to time. Like we had one of the longest extra rounds with a stack of around 48 spells with 80 minute.
You're talking about the one today?
Yeah, today round 6. And on that board there was 4 Smothering Tides, 2 Rhystic Remoras, or two Rhystic Studies, 1 Mystic Remora, and a Hullbreaker Horror. Right? So like
oh man.
Potentially every spell 6 to 7 triggers.
Right.
Okay? So you at home don't play like this, right? Like you're not used to seeing these kind of stacks, and people who aren't used to that really struggle to like maintain the board state, maintain threat assessment. It's a complicated game. It's the most complicated game in the world. We have over 40,000 unique card pieces, right? So, so if you're looking to play competitive, the long answer condensed into short: practice. Like, get opportunities to play with other people. I personally would join like the Playing with Power Discord.
Just
saying. Playing with Power Discord is really, really good. There's also other places that you could play, like your local LGS might have a competitive scene. If they don't, your online's going to be the best bet for sure.
Something I would be super curious to hear your thoughts on, both as a player and as a TO, is judges. I think oftentimes one of those barriers that new players have in playing in tournaments is they don't know how to play around judges. Okay. And even for the most...
Or being nervous around judges, or not sure when to call a judge, that sort of thing. But
and so I feel like, no, exactly that. Like, it, I think, is a very dynamic and important element of tournament cEDH play that, when you're talking about practicing, even if you're playing with the fastest of the sharks, right, in your meta, your LGS, there's not a judge there. What would you encourage even someone who's been to multiple tournaments, either to, what are good situations you think that more players should call a judge, or what are other ways that maybe you would encourage players to resolve problems inside of the pod?
Judges are really intuitive, and when I say that, I mean you are playing and you're like, hey, I don't know if that's right. Hey, I'm not sure. Hey, does this card do that? Judge. That's a judge call. And literally anytime you feel that way, you should be calling a judge. Hey, this turn's taking a very long time. Like, you're deciding what you're gonna do and it's taking you like 5 minutes. That seems like a long time. Judge. Right? And the idea is that you actually call judges more often than you don't, right? Like, you want to be there. You want to call judges because they're there to help. Like, they're there to make sure the game is working the way the game is supposed to work.
And everything's happening above board.
Exactly,
everything's running smoothly. They're there to grease the wheels, keep things running.
Exactly.
My personal rule as a player now, and especially after this event, is if I am asked a question and I'm not sure how it can resolve, or I don't have the answer within like 10 seconds, I'm like, I don't know, judge. There's no reason not to. There's no penalty for doing so. You're not going to be like warned or anything. Like, they're tools that you can use to gain knowledge, or just like set everything straight.
Exactly. And your opponents will lie to you.
Right?
There's that too.
Like, cards are tricky. I learned this weekend that in end step, if you have too many cards in your hand and one of those cards happen to be your commander, if you discard your commander, that creates an opportunity to respawn, because there's a replacement effect that happens moving your commander from your graveyard to the command zone. You can respond to that.
Eric and I learned this with a card called Waste Not. Are you familiar with that card? So it creates triggers after cleanup or during cleanup. And then players suddenly regain priority. And that's very strange.
Very strange. And like, in that moment, I'd call a judge. What is this? What is happening, right? So there's it's really complicated in cEDH.
Yeah.
Judges make it more simple.
People don't like when I'm casting ad nause in someone's cleanup step for some reason.
Something about that.
They're like,
doesn't seem right.
this feels wrong. I'm like, no, it's right, but you can call judge.
It's just I think this is something we talked about. There's oftentimes in cEDH, there's a lot of ego on the line.
Yeah.
And it can feel as if you're asking questions or if you need help that is setting you back as a player in the pod.
Yeah.
If you're kind of leading, if you're in a 3v1 situation and you're the one, if you call the judge that you're somehow like making a mistake or that it makes you look weak as a player. But the longer I play cEDH, the more I have respect for exactly like you said. When in doubt, like just call a judge over.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen a judge be like, what a waste of time. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
They're always even for what might seem like really simple interactions, they always take the time to double check, make sure that everything's resolved. And I've even been in situations where a judge wasn't called over to resolve a specific ruling, but just because we were super close in time, and I was like, hey, can you just help us keep this stack moving so that they're not skipping things and so that we're not stalling them. They were super cool about it, and it really helped just make the game better for everyone.
Yeah. That's a big one. Yeah.
So what's next with playing with Power and Fishbowl? And you mentioned another event coming up, but not trying to spoil anything too early, but do you have anything to share?
Dude, you guys are busy bees. Let's hear about it.
Busy. Let's see. So the next thing, we have the next Fishbowl will be in like 8 months or so.
Okay.
Bigger, hopefully. We'll see.
Bigger, better, faster.
All those things.
Yeah, all those things.
Let's see, Playing with Power. We actually have our online tournament series is returning, so
Nice.
Monks Masters.
Oh, heck
Oh,
yeah.
very cool.
That's
That's
so
a big
exciting.
one. Yeah.
That's
So I know a lot of people
cool.
are looking forward to that. And let's see, other than that, I'm going to be featured on some YouTube stuff coming up soon.
Very good.
Some bigger channels that are featuring me. So
Nice.
really excited so you can see those when those come out.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll definitely plug them when we push this out. So
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just living life here in San Diego, having a good time.
awesome.
Dude, that's where we are, at least for the next 24 hours. Had a great time at the tournament, just looking to soak up minute
smidgen of
pieces
sun.
of between
Yeah.
clouds.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me.
for the role you played in this event, and just for helping us learn a little bit more about cEDH.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah.